Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another outing of People's Parliament powered by Rescue Nigeria. This is our first outing this new year, 2023. So really, it won't be out of place or out of order to say Happy New Year to everyone. So let's welcome each other. Let's do some Happy New Year in the chat box. Let's do it. Good to be here. Let me see you. Good to be here. Happy New Year. Good to be here. Yeah, Taiwo from Nottingham, UK. Welcome. Happy New Year to you. Yemi there. Thumbs up to you too. Yes, Happy New Year, Nigerians from the US. Okay, then welcome again. I'm your moderator. I'm Anika Ade from Care Treasure, a broadcast journalist, social entrepreneur, author, and leadership coach. Nkechi, I see you. Our panelists are ready. Rescue Nigeria team is ready. I am, and I trust that you're ready as well. Wale Croft, I see you. Good to be here. Yes, I trust that you're all ready now. So then let's all dive in and have a brilliant session conversing about Nigeria. The election is ahead. Our conversation today is centering on how Nigeria must set up for success after the election. And what Rescue Nigeria has done is to look at the structure of a giant, how Nigeria must set up for success. Welcome again, Rescue Nigeria. Behind the People's Parliament is a non-partisan group. They're not affiliated to any Nigerian political party outside or within Nigeria. No, they're not. They are a group of Nigerians committed to a more livable nation for us all. And a member of the group, Wale Croft, will be telling us more about the group in a bit. But I'd like to start with this quote. Yes, I know, I hear you saying, but you started already. Yeah, but this quote is literally jumping at me. It says, and I quote, until ordinary Nigerians can aspire to political office and win, until your child's school teacher can contest and win, until those with no war chests can vie for office and win, we will have no democracy, even when we can vote. That's Yomi Omogbeja saying that. That's been attributed to him. I think that's a curious one, and I'd like to start from there. Our panelists today, in no particular order, are Morin, Carew and Muyiwa, Kayode. Both of them are visible in their respective spaces as Nigerian citizens within and outside Nigeria. Morin Carew is a leadership coach and charity consultant with over 20 years professional experience in the UK charity sector. Also, Muyiwa Kayode is a visionary in the Nigerian brand management space, co-founder, CEO of USP Brand Management, and author of Brand Nation. That, by the way, is a second book. I'll be coming back to our panelists, just a very brief introduction of both of them as we start. For now, let me yield the space to Wale Croft now to give us a really concise description of the group behind the People's Parliament, Rescue Nigeria. Wale, are you there?
Good afternoon and good evening and maybe good morning, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for honoring our invitation to be here today. And it's our hope that whatever we have to talk about today will resonate with you and that we will all be galvanized by it to do our bit to actually make our nation a great nation that we will all be proud of. So what is Rescue Nigeria? I think, as it says there on the screen, we're under the auspices of the Initiative for Good and Informed Citizenship. It's all about us, not about anybody else, but about us, as citizens of the country. We are a growing movement of people, and I think we're all unified around a common goal, and it is about for the betterment of our nation. And like we said, and as our moderator said, we're not a political party, and we have no political party or association or affiliation with anyone. We are Nigerian citizens who are concerned about our nation. So we have no political connection. We are not promoting anybody. We're not promoting any party. And we are not for any party. We are for Nigerians. And our aim really is to bring millions of educated Nigerians serving in different spheres as leaders to work towards making our citizens self-aware of our collective responsibility to demand better and functioning society. I think it's about all of us. So the power from the people with a strong motivation, but it needs all of us, though, to participate, to be engaged, and to be passionate about it. So we are looking, it's all about people, everybody, everyday people, educated people, concerned people partnering with us to support the achievement of the goal. Next slide, please. So what would we like for you to do? Remember, the focus is about us as citizens. If we don't take ownership, we cannot drive and we cannot demand and we cannot foster good citizenship and good leadership. So what do we need from you, or what can you do next? Because you say, I hear you, you talk about good citizenship, you talk about wanting everybody to sign up and be committed. I think it starts from you registering to become a member of Rescue Nigeria from the link on screen, and to volunteer to become active. And what do we mean by that? We want people who are passionate about change, and we on different platforms, people have asked the question, so what do we do? So we stop talking about it. First, we need to educate ourselves. We need to confront the issues by coming to an understanding of what they are and understanding our own responsibility towards making that change. And then it all starts from us. People say, how do the fire become a wildfire? It starts from lighting a single match. So we educate ourselves, we go from there, where we all contribute, we all participate in growing the awareness of what we can do as good citizens and how we can then encourage other people to become good citizens. So the whole idea, register, become a volunteer, then we'll learn more about how we can organize ourselves in smaller groups and then grow from there, because we cannot do it alone. We need all of us. So you can follow us on Facebook, and all the social media handles are all there, where you can follow us, where you can learn more about this movement. But we are pleading with you as good citizens who are interested in the betterment of Nigeria to please join hands with us and let's work together to develop, to grow the solution that will bring forth a good society for all of us and for future generations. So, thank you.
So let's go to the panelists. Welcome to everyone joining us from everywhere across the globe. You're welcome to the People's Parliament. First, to the panelists, let me take your thoughts, your original thoughts on our theme for today, which is the structure of a giant, how Nigeria must set up for success after the election. Let's start with you, Muyiwa Kayode.
All right, thank you. The word brand and branding keeps recurring when you were doing my introduction. And my latest book, which is Brand Nation, published and released last quarter of last year, is, I think it contains everything in terms of my philosophy, my thoughts when it comes to nation building. So when we're talking about the structure of a giant, I believe we are talking about Nigeria now within the context of this positioning of Nigeria as the giant of Africa, as the world's largest Black nation. And what we need to do, we don't have to go and bring something from space. What we need to do is right there before us. And it's been done, it's been tried and tested, it's been These principles have been applied by successful nations across the world. And the way I have presented it is this. This structure is broken down into three parts, or three components, if you like. The first component that we need to deal with is the people. I describe it in my book as the 3 Ps: people, places, and products. The first component of this structure that we need to deal with has to do with our people. And how do we deal with that? We need to define and articulate who the Nigerian is. What do we mean by this? We need to look at what makes us unique as a people. We need to, those things have been scattered all over the place. People talk about different attributes of Nigerians: hardworking, resourceful, intelligent, never say die spirit, determined. Anywhere they go, they succeed. We have all these things scattered all over the place. But we need a central organizing principle that makes sense of these things, that brings them together under a particular national identity, that makes you feel proud as a Nigerian. That is one. And when we talk about dealing with our people, it's not just about rhetorics. It's about creating a value proposition for the Nigerian person. Creating a value proposition that tells me that, okay, as a Nigerian citizen, if I have 4 children and I'm working in the public sector, these are the basic things that are guaranteed. If I spend 10 years in service, or if I spend 15 years or 20 years, these are the basic things guaranteed. Free education for my children up to secondary level. These are in specific, intangible terms, in specific terms. So when we begin to articulate a national vision with our people at the center of that vision, with our people at the center of that, I'm sorry, I don't know where some noises are coming from, but it's just kind of like, it's interrupting.
It's okay, we're good.
When we define our people, when we articulate a vision with the people at the center, and what I mean by this is very simple. We've heard about different visions in this country: Vision 2010, Vision this, Vision 2030. And when they do these things, they're telling us that, okay, you want this country to be one of the top 20 economies in the world within the next 10 years or within the next 20 years. For me, those things, as we can clearly see, those things have not worked. They've not taken us anywhere. The last one I am aware of, I think that was Vision 2020. And you had a huge number of consultants putting these documents together. And at the end of the day, you submit a 1,500-page document to the president. And see, I don't know how the president is going to read a 1,500-page report on Vision 2020, considering the humongous volume of every other thing that he has to read in a day. And it is just one thing to read. It's another thing to now begin to implement. It doesn't make sense. To articulate a vision for this country, you don't need more than a 10-page document. And when you articulate a vision and you don't put people at the center, there's a problem, because if you tell me that you want to make Nigeria a top 20 economy in 20 years, what is in it for me as a citizen? What is my role? How does that guarantee that, okay, in that 20 years, where will I be? If I give birth to a child today as a Nigerian baby, and in the 20 years, the first 20 years of the life of that child, what am I expected? Am I expecting? What is the projection? What is the plan for that child as a citizen of Nigeria? These are things we need to articulate in our vision. You have to put people at the center of the vision. If you don't put people at the center of the vision, it's not going to work, because you need these people to make the vision work. In recent times, we've heard about people sabotaging the railway, people sabotaging this, sabotaging. People sabotage good things because they don't feel that it belongs to them. And when you focus things around people and let them take ownership, then they take ownership of these things. And if people are going to sabotage public property, it is even other people that will stop them. So that is people. The second part of the structure is places, our country, our places. And when I'm talking about our places, I'll use just one example, which just to illustrate what I'm talking about. How do we create iconic monuments that tells our story as a giant? If, for example, we are the giant of Africa, what iconic monuments do we have that supports that statement? Do we have the biggest stadium in Africa? Do we have the biggest hospital in Africa? Do we have the tallest building in Africa? No, we don't. These are things that make people take pride in their country. And these are things that tell your story as a nation. So if we want to position as a giant, we have to think big. When we conceive public projects, we have to conceive those projects with this positioning at the back of our minds. We can't go out and tell the world we are the giant of Africa, and we can hardly boast of anything that is either the biggest or the best in Africa, except our population. That is not good enough. So in building the nation, we have to begin to think differently, and we have to begin to apply the laws of brand positioning in taking the nation. Apply the laws of brand positioning in taking this nation from where it is now to where we want it to be. And then quickly, the third one in my tripod structure, a stove with 3 legs will not fall, So the third leg of that structure is products, positioning our products for the global market. And that has a multiplier effect on the economy. There has to be a strategy. There has to be an organizing principle. There has to be our products that we take out to the outside world in the global market must make a statement about the kind of country that we are. I'll pause here because so that others can have the space. Thank you.
Right. Very concise, very deep thoughts there. You talked about what we need to do, and you broke the structure that you want to talk about today into 3 components: people, places, and products. I'm going to leave it there and return to your initial thoughts after Morin Carew has given us her initial thoughts as well. Morin, are you there? Hello, Morin.
Right, I was muted, so
okay.
So now I've been released from the audio jail. Right, so we're still talking about the structure, I believe.
The structure of the giants, how Nigeria must set up for success after the election. Your initial thoughts before we start asking questions.
Okay, so my initial thoughts would be, to be honest, before the election, it's very crucial that we choose the right leader, because there is no structure that is going to stand the test of time without good leadership. There is no people that you have that will go anywhere without good leadership. People are going to follow someone who knows where he or she is going. And so it's very crucial that we have good leadership. So the right person being elected is essential. So that's why I'm sort of reversing back to say it's not so much about after the election, because if we put a bad leader there, we're going to find ourselves in the same place that we're finding ourselves now. And so peradventure, we, by the grace of God, are able to get a good leader in there. Then it is important that that leader creates an enabling environment for Nigeria to thrive. And that means that that person needs to surround his or herself. Well, it looks like everybody is going to be a male right now. I don't think there's any female. So I will be pardoned to use he rather than he or she. He needs to create an enabling environment. And that means that the people who surround him as his advisors have to have the love of the country at heart. The leader must have the love of the nation at heart. The problem that any nation has that the country is not doing well is because they don't love the people. They're there for themselves. My area of expertise is leadership. And the key thing that I always teach people is, what is your attitude towards leadership? Are you there because you want to lord it over people? Because you want to tell people, or command people? Or is it because you want to bring people up and make them, be able to be self-sufficient? Are you there to build people or to break people down? So it's really about that person who we elect into the office. What is their vision? What is their philosophy? What is their concept of leadership? Are they there to come and eat theirs as well, because other people have had an opportunity to eat the riches and the wealth of the nation and rape the nation? Or are they there to cultivate the land, to cultivate the people? The panelist who spoke before me, sorry, Muyiwa, he was talking about having people at the center. That's exactly the same thing that I'm talking about. People don't love Nigeria. They don't love the people. They just see them as masses. When you see a people as masses, then they're faceless. They're voiceless. They're just there for you to use, not to build, not to bring up. And this is the problem that we've had I'm 58 years old now. I still remember very clearly when Gowon was there. And my mom used to say to me, chop and let others chop was Gowon's philosophy, whether rightly or wrongly. But somewhere along the line, she felt that Gowon created an enabling environment for people to thrive. It wasn't just him thriving. He had the love of people at heart. And I grew up, that is still ringing in my ears. And when I compare the successive government to what we have today, I cannot see a leader, a president, or the people surrounding them who have the love of people at heart. I will give you an example, and it broke my heart. During COVID, I can't remember very well what department, but there was a department that was given money to make provision, for people towards this COVID, whatever. And the people had the audacity to say that they spend the money first for themselves, because if they're not well, they can't look after people. And I'm like, seriously? And this was said on national TV because they were being, queried about the money. Possibly they siphoned the funds, like, all these departments do. And I just could not believe it, that you had people in leadership position that would say, I have to look after myself first before I look after others. And when you look at the various departments in government offices, this is the mentality. We need to fix the mindset of people in Nigeria. There needs to be a paradigm shift. There's too much selfishness. We need to get to the place where we begin to see Nigeria as our own. There was a time when I was fed up and I just didn't want to have anything to do with my nation. I'm not proud to say it, but somehow I had to drag myself once again to say, you know what, for the sake of posterity, for the sake of my children, we need, even if it's just praying, I have to do something. And now I have this platform, and so I just want to, envision people to say that, please, 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 our voting should not be emotional. Our voting should not be based on he's from my ethnic, or it should not be based on ethnicity. It should be based on what is good for Nigeria. And when we have elected the person, then we have a responsibility as individuals to come behind that person, understand their mandate, and follow through that mandate. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. I love that sentence. Our voting must not be emotional. It should be about what is best for Nigeria. That's a word of marble for me, and one that I'll be taking away from here. Our voting must not be emotional. It should be about what is best for Nigeria. If you're just joining us, you're on to the People's Parliament, the first outing for the year. We're talking about the structure of a giant, how Nigeria must set up for success after the election. Our two panelists have been speaking about their initial thoughts about the theme. Expectedly, Morin Carew has been talking about the leadership aspect of the theme, while Kay has been talking about the branding. Muyiwa Kayode has been talking about the branding of Nigeria. So I'm returning to the branding of Nigeria, and I'm going to be asking for him to expand some of the points he has raised earlier. He says positioning is important, and we need to tell our authentic story. And we must apply the principles of brand positioning. We need to position our products for the global markets. We need to have a Nigerian identity. We need to articulate a vision. He said something that the president cannot possibly read all of the reports being brought to him, but that we need a template that we can build things around. Let me return to you, Muyiwa Kayode, about applying the principles of brand positioning. I'm going to try so very much and so very hard to be positive about Nigeria, because I know that a lot of people have given up about the nation. Is it still, can we still revive this nation, even when we apply the principles of brand positioning? First of all, as you've noted, what is our Nigerian identity? Because we can tell that this is the American dream. What is the Nigerian dream? What is our identity? How can we start to apply brand positioning principles to building Nigeria as a brand? It's tough, but let's start from someone. Let's hear from you. How do we apply the principles of brand positioning to these giants that is neither here nor there?
Well, you see, the first thing about branding is the creation of value.
Right.
It is not, branding is not about giving something a facelift or painting something and packaging it and presenting it. No. Branding is first and foremost the creation of value. Where there is no value, there is no brand. It is this value that you will now present to the market. It is this value that you will now sell in the marketplace. So the first question we have to ask ourselves is, what is the value? You talked about the American dream. That is how they have defined their value proposition. That this is a country where you can be anything you want to be. You can achieve your dreams. Now, to apply that to Nigeria, you have to define the value that Nigeria offers you, whether as a Nigerian or as a foreigner coming to do business in Nigeria, or as somebody coming to take up Nigerian citizenship, or as a Black man in America who wants to return to Africa, who is tired of all the racism and everything and wants to go back home. And we have a lot of them. Now, when you look at Nigeria within Africa, and I stand to be corrected about this, Nigeria is that country that offers the best opportunities in the continent of Africa. One, in terms of the natural resources. Two, in terms of the sheer numbers of our people. You don't get a 200 million population market everywhere in the world. There are very few countries where you have a population of more than 200 million people. And that in itself is a huge attraction. And a lot of foreign countries are coming in just based on that. Okay? If you look at the mobile telecoms networks now, I think the leader amongst them has more than 70 million subscribers. You don't get, how many markets will give you that anywhere in the world? You see, so when we are defining the value proposition that Nigeria has to offer you, either as a Nigerian or as a, the raw materials, so to speak, the ingredients that we need to articulate that value, they are there right within our hands. They are there, they are all over us. I mean, we are still discovering mineral resources. Apart from, we have one of the largest gas reserves in the world. We are not even talking about solid minerals, you know? So the value, when you want to define the value, we have the raw ingredients we need to define that value. That this is the biggest market in Africa. This is the place where you can come and achieve anything. Somebody said some time ago that Nigeria is a country where you can go to bed broke and wake up a millionaire the next morning. And it is possible. And you don't have to steal to achieve that. You don't have to kill people. You don't have to kidnap people to achieve that. You don't have to do 419 to achieve that. It is possible, you know? And this is a land of possibilities. And the possibilities are there. So we need to articulate this in a way that sells Nigeria as a land of opportunities, which it is. And this is not about whitewashing or painting something bad to look nice. It is there. Those things are there.
Let me pause you there. I do not want to bust the bubble, but I mean, the albatross, one of the what I would call the albatross of Nigeria is corruption. A former UK Prime Minister described Nigeria as fantastically corrupt. And truly, this is a nation where snakes, monkeys, scorpions, termites swallow huge amounts of money. And this makes it very difficult for anyone to do business. We talk about ease of doing business, but what about this corruption? Is such a humongous barrier to doing business with ease in Nigeria. It's also one of the, if not the major reason why Nigeria sometimes be very hard to sell.
Well, you see, yes, there's a corruption problem, but that does not take away the opportunities in the markets. And you see, when you look at, don't forget also that Nigeria is also where you have the richest black man in Africa. Corruption or no corruption. You see, if you want to dwell on the corruption, we're not going to make progress.
Yeah, but what's the proportion of rich men to poor people?
It's a
poverty capital of the world.
We understand all those narratives, but I don't want to dwell on those narratives. I'm an entrepreneur. I look on the positives, because where there's a problem, there is also an opportunity for entrepreneurs. That is how they think. They don't look at the problems. They look at, okay, how do we solve this problem and create wealth and create opportunity and make money out of it? That is how entrepreneurs think. And that is why you have a lot of foreign people coming to do business in Nigeria and making a lot of money, because they see those problems as opportunities. But we see the problems and we are crying about the problems. There's a whole difference there. So if you want to do business in Nigeria, I don't know of any country in the world where there are angels and they don't have corruption. I don't know of one. If you know, please let me know. But if you want to do business in Nigeria, depending on the kind of business you want to do, this country still offers one of the biggest markets and one of the best opportunities for growth. The rest of the world is coming here because this is where the growth is. Africa is where the growth is. The developed markets have matured. You see Netflix, you see Amazon, you see they are all Google, they are all coming here. Do you think if they say, oh, there's corruption there, we won't go there? Do you think they'll be here? There is corruption where they are coming from. So let's not bother ourselves about, okay, it is higher here, or it is lower there, or it is worse here, it is worse there. No, that is not how I want to think as an entrepreneur. And as somebody who believes in this country, that is not the way I want to think.
Right. Thank you very much. Let me quickly go to Morin Carew now. Just as the week was ending here in Nigeria, there was breaking news that the governor of Osun State, who was sworn in a few weeks back, had been sacked by a court. He has appealed the judgment, but it says he should leave as governor of Osun State, while the erstwhile governor will return to the seat. Now, this is one of the issues post-election that Nigerians deal with, and Nigeria as a country grapple with, the fact that the courts are, yes, a law, but you really can't tell even if the favored candidate wins. We'll remember the case of Imo State as well. Somebody won, was sworn in no time, a court ruled, and that person was taken off while another person was brought in. So what are your thoughts on this, Morin Carew?
Right. So first of all, I just wanted to, I don't know if you noticed that I put my hand up when Muyiwa was speaking.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't want us to remove our agenda tonight, which is that how do we move on from here when the new government has been elected? And when he was talking about, I understand we shouldn't focus on the negatives. That's why we're here, because we want to provide solutions to the problems. But at the same time, we cannot negate the fact that we do have an endemic problem with corruption. I agree totally. There is no nation that hasn't got a certain level of corruption. But the one that we're battling with in Nigeria is so gross that even a small child is more oriented towards corruption than, towards greed than goodness. And the only way we're going to deal with that is when we have a government that is in tune with the people, that comes down to the level of the people to say, you know what, we have a problem. What has been happening is successive governments have turned a blind eye to the problems of the people. We cannot talk about branding if we have not healed as a nation. Nigeria is sick. It's got a big sore. And any government that is going to come in now has to realize that. And the major job they need to do is to we're so fragmented anyway as a nation. We need to fix that. There is no way. You talked about the American dream. Despite the issue of racism that is still going on in America, every American believes that there is still an opportunity for them. The common Nigeria can't see any opportunity for them. So entrepreneurs that are doing well, they cannot continue to say, I'm doing well, there is opportunity for us to make money in Nigeria if we are not thinking of the collective Nigerian. We need to fix that problem. It's not about, yes, there are opportunities, but is the average Nigerian does the average Nigerian have access to that opportunity? No. And so we need to address that situation. And the government, whichever government comes in now, needs to address that. It's not just about, okay, these are the opportunities that are there. If an average Nigerian cannot access that opportunity, then honestly, for me, there is no opportunity in Nigeria. We're talking about brain drain. Why are brains being drained away from Nigeria? Because we don't have an enabling environment for our people to thrive. And it's high time that we address this situation. And you know what's going to happen? Each and every one of us needs to take responsibility. Unfortunately, when we had this Orosoke issue, we weren't able to take it further. But look at every nation that has come out of the dregs of poverty and all the problems that we are facing. Just look at Ghana beside us. If they were able to come out of it, we are able to come out of it. But we need to enable our people. And whichever government comes in must say to people, we apologize to Nigerians the way we have been treating you. Now this is a new era. This is our new agenda. Everybody, we are coming on board and we want to fix this until we have a government that is able to come down to the level of the people and say, I identify with your problem. Richie Sunak didn't come in at the first time. Why? Because there was a lot of talk that he was not in tune with the people. If Liz Truss has been able to hold that government together, he wouldn't have been able to come in, because the big issue against him was that he was not, he wasn't down there with the people. But they recognized that, okay, he's got some skills to take us out of where we are. And thankfully, he's got people around him to keep him level-headed. That's what they have done. And any government that is going to come in must realize that they need to be in touch with the people. We don't have a government that is in touch with the people. They want to pass people over.
We do not have a government. We do not have a government that is in touch with the people. We're talking the structure of a giant, how Nigeria can move forward and reposition after the election. Right. And Madam Morin, you've said quite a lot in such a short time, the brain drain. You've addressed the issue of possibilities and opportunities that Muyiwa Kayode said Nigeria is bustling with. If indeed Nigeria is bustling with such opportunities and possibilities, why do we have brain drain? Why are teachers leaving, doctors leaving, students leaving? Almost everyone I know is leaving. And the thing is, the Jakpa Chronicles is what is gaining traction now. Every family is saying, oh, is your son still here? Is your daughter still here? You better let them go now, because we can't see a future for the country. And now we're voting new people in to lead us for the next 4 years. So how do we move forward? How do we, first of all, stop the Jakpa syndrome? There is Jakpa, there is Sapa. The Sapa part is that there is no money in circulation. There is no money. The cost of living is too high for the cash in the hands of people. So I'll leave that here and come back and take that question back to Muyiwa Kayode. But I just asked a question about Osun State. Right.
And I have thoughts about it because I saw a video or I saw, a post with regards to this. The thing is, first and foremost, we need to be a people who, I know Americans have this thing. They say the law is an ass, meaning, sometimes it serves you, sometimes it doesn't. Okay. The thing is, whether we like it or not, any nation that does not uphold the rule of law is going to go into chaos. So we have to be a people that says, okay, this is what we've decided to do with the law. Now, because of the corruption and all the whatnots that we have, most people don't have confidence in the law. But if we do, look at what happened between Trump and Biden. At the end of the day, Biden was declared winner, and they had to oppose that based on the law of the land. And so whether we like it or not, this is how far we have gone with our judiciary system, and we have to back it up. We have to have faith in the law, or else there's going to be chaos. And so for me, it's about standing with the law. And if the judgment is not right, then the people need to raise their voices. Part of the problem is we don't have a forum by which people can actually address the government, like we have here in the UK, where you can address the government, you can write to your MPs, you can protest, you can do that. We don't have that kind of system in Nigeria, which is one of the things that is crippling us and is also muzzling the mouth of Nigerians, that we cannot freely express. We say we have a democratic system, but it is not really, because you are not allowed to express your opinion freely.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Do we have a truly democratic government? Are you able to express yourself? I'm coming back to the issue of technology. Post-election, did BVAS really work in Osun State? Will it work for the elections we're about to conduct in Nigeria? And post-election rulings is really out of our hands, but it's one of the reasons why people are disenfranchised. But let me return to Muyiwa Kayode and give him right of reply regarding your reaction to his thoughts about possibilities and opportunities in Nigeria. Muyiwa, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes. Right of reply.
What am I replying to now, please?
Morin had taken you up about Nigeria being a land of opportunities and possibilities, punching a hole there that were true. Why is everyone leaving? And saying that really the issue of corruption can't be wished away. It's a major, major one that we need to work on.
Okay, yes, I understand. You see, it's just that we don't have enough time. You see, and this is why I have published a book. Okay, so everything I have in my mind, I've put it in that book. You see, when I said we should start with people, there is a whole lot of problems that will be solved. The problem of corruption will never be 100% solved because human beings will always be human beings. Mm-hmm. But when you start with people, there's a whole lot going on there. And I mentioned that as a Nigerian, if I give birth to a child today, I should be able to project the next 15, 16 years of the life of that child. I talked about free education to secondary level at the minimum. These are things that will check corruption. If I know that as somebody in public service, if I get to level 10 or level 12, I'm going to be comfortable. I'm going to be able to comfortably buy an apartment, send my children to university, education guaranteed, minimum. If those assurances are there, it reduces the propensity of people to steal. And the biggest corruption, I may be wrong, but the biggest place where the biggest corrupt practices going on in this country is in the civil servants. I'm not talking about these guys. People are looking at people in that public service, the civil servants, the atrocities they commit under these guys of corruption is crazy. Yeah. But nobody talks about them. But if you have a system that guarantees social security, that I know that I'm going to work in the public service, if I put in 20 years in that job, I will not have a problem educating 4 children to university level. I will not have a problem owning a house. What people need to be comfortable is not really too much. But because those guarantees are not there, that is why people want to do whatever they can do.
Okay, the thing is,
to provide those guarantees. So that is one. Sorry, please. Let me just quickly correct something that Morin said. Morin said that we are in a democracy, but people are not free. That is not true. People are free. I'm on social media every day. Top government officials are on social media. People are free. People communicate with them and they respond. Well, maybe not in all cases, but that freedom is, I don't know how much more freedom of, I've been a journalist under military rule. I don't know how much more freedom we can ask for than what we have now when you're talking about freedom of expression. So I don't quite agree with you that we don't have freedom of expression. We do.
Right. You've shed light on various aspects of our national life that is good for this conversation. You've talked about education. You've talked about civil service. But let me take just those two. You didn't mention health, but I'm going to add that to it. Post-election, how Nigeria must set up for success after elections. The truth is, a lot of our children are not being educated presently. If they get through primary education, chances are they may not be able to make it through for secondary. Let's even forget tertiary education in Nigeria because it's been messed up by politicians who've left our children at home for a long time. And another one is security as well. Someone is talking about policemen stopping people. But you see, free education, it has a question mark in Nigeria. Tertiary education has a question mark in Nigeria. I don't see how we can continue to talk about ourselves as the giants of Africa without properly educating our generations to come. Again, we look at the civil service you're talking about being taken over by politicians. The policies are not working. Politicians are busy throwing things in the civil service. They have enabled corruption of monumental proportions. If you begin to look at the health conditions, you said we need, Nigerians don't really are not asking for too much. Yes, but even the basics, are we giving Nigerians what they deserve? So I'm posing that question back to you, Mr. K. Talk to us.
No,
yeah.
we are not. We are not giving Nigerians what they deserve. The basis, that is what I'm saying, that past governments have not done the right thing when they say they are articulating vision. And what the new government needs to do, the first thing the new government needs to do, and I'm even disappointed that in the manifestos, I'm not seeing that vision. So all of the parties that are campaigning, I've not seen that vision that talks to me. I've not seen a vision that says that, look, the person on minimum wage will be guaranteed this basic standard of living. I've not seen that in any manifesto. I've not seen that vision. That is what I'm talking about. The vision must talk about people. You must be able to tell me that if I'm earning the minimum wage of 30K per month, these are things, this is the standard of life that I should get. And if that 30K is not going to make it possible, then we have to have that conversation about what is the realistic minimum wage and how do we make it happen. I have not seen that in any of the campaigns. I've not seen any campaign that is telling me that, look, within 4 years, these are the two major problems we are going to solve, and this is the impact it's going to have on you, that common man on the street that is on the minimum wage, or that roadside mama put, or that roadside vulcanized. I've not seen that. And that is why I'm saying that whatever vision, whatever you want to articulate, it must be people-focused. If we don't focus on people, then we've not even started. Because that is where you cannot build a great nation without great people. And how do you build great people? You have to enable them, empower them, educate people, give people the resources they need to excel, create the enabling environment for talented people to excel. You have to build great people to have a great nation. So everything must begin with people.
Right, word of marble there. You cannot build a great nation without great people. That is word of marble. Yeah, you've spoken to the fact that a lot of our politicians asking for our votes at the moment are not truly hitting on the basic things that mean the world to us as Nigerians. We're looking at fuel scarcity, we're looking at cash being so not everywhere in the economy. We're talking about education. There are dates for lecturers to go on strike again. And there's so many things that we're battling with. It doesn't look like the politicians asking for our votes are going to address these issues. Post-election, it looks like it's still going to be business as usual. Before I go to Morin now, and then go to the people's comments and read them out so that we can speak to some of the issues they're raising. Let me have your thoughts about the development in Osun State. I mean, Osun is dealing with post-gubernatorial election, and the fact is the person they have elected has been booted out by a court. The ruling has been appealed, but what does it portend for the future of democracy in Nigeria, and of course, our positioning after election?
Well, I don't have the details of what is happening in Osun, even though that's my state. When I say I don't have the details, in terms of, I know the basic information in the public domain, yeah. But what I see, when I see things like that, I think it's good for our democracy. Our democratic culture is a process, it is evolving. And I think that we are making progress. 22 years of uninterrupted democracy. It's still a baby. But I believe that we are making progress. And I believe that at every turn of the process, when the law takes its course, it is good for the system. And this hiccups, this stop-start process at the end of the day is actually strengthening our democratic culture. And we have to have trust in the judicial process. So I think it's evolving. The democratic culture is evolving. And at the end of the day, we must continue to improve the process the BVAS now is supposed to help us improve the process and give more integrity to the elections, because at the end of the day, we want to be sure that the results of the election reflect the wishes of the majority of the people as much as possible. That has to be guaranteed, because that is the bedrock of a successful democracy. That is what it is all about. It's all about the wish of the majority of the people. So the process must, what is supposed to strengthen that, and everybody agrees that it is actually a step in the right direction for the democratic process. So I read a comment somewhere that says, okay, BVAS does not stop you from rigging, but it will show that you have rigged. But it will show that you have, but it will show that you have rigged. It will expose you. It will stop you from trying to rig, but it will expose you if you have rigged, which is good. So we have to, and if you know that it will expose you, it also reduces the tendency for people to want to rig. If you know that it will expose you, there's a technology in place that will expose rigging. That will reduce the propensity for. It's just like a criminal. If you know that there's a 99% chance that you'll be caught, you are not likely to want to commit that crime. So I think it's a good development for the process, and the more we improve on that process, the better for our democracy.
All right, let me pan to what the comments we have in the comment box and see what you panelists can respond to. We have quite a number of comments here.
Can I just say something very quickly, please, because it's really burning on my heart. And I want to make the most of this opportunity that I have coming here, because we want to provide solutions, isn't it, for what's going on in Nigeria. And what I wanted to, what's really burning on my heart is really buttressing the fact that a lot of our politicians are not engaging with the needs of the people. I'll tell you my first reaction when I heard that, I can't remember how many years ago, and I was in Lagos. I live in the UK, and I was told that there was a bus stop that was built and whatever. And my first reaction was, people are hungry, and you are putting our money towards building a bus stop. Please, how is that going to solve the problem of Mama Put? Do you know what I'm saying? The problem of our government is they are trying to pull the wool over the eyes of people. And somehow they have gotten the people hoodwinked. Because many people were clapping in Nigeria, and I was saying, this is a time for us to weep. Because I don't know how that bus stop is going to put food on my table. What I'm trying to say is they are not addressing the problems of the people. And then they come up with these cosmetic things. The first time I heard about the railway as well, I said, this is breeding ground for robbers. And I was proved right years after. You don't have security systems in place, you are doing railroad. I mean, who does that? It does not make sense. The government is not in touch with the people. They need to be going out, asking them, how can I help you? They're not doing that. They're just coming up with all these fancy things. Some of them come to spend our money in the UK, in America, and then they go back and people see all these nice things and they're pacified. They're pacifying people. If we have freedom of speech, the things that we've been talking about, why have they not addressed those issues? If we're going to move forward, we need a government that is in touch with the people, that knows our pain points and addresses the woman in the village, not just the people in the cities. This is the problem. The people in the cities are making the money, but the people in the village are not. I mean, look at it. We've changed Naira notes. Most of the people that are going to be affected are market women. They come to the bank, nobody addresses them. They are standing in the queue. You and I, who knows the bank manager, we will walk into an air-conditioned office. This is our problem. And we need to go to the grassroots. That's where the issue is. And until we create an enabling environment for these people in the villages, Nigeria cannot be great. That is where most of our people are. We don't want plaster over our wounds. We want it to be well addressed. And until we begin to scream and shout out and say, look, we are not stupid. We know what you are trying to do. then and to hold our government accountable without us being put into prison, then we are going to be able to build an enabling environment for every Nigerian to thrive. Thank you.
Right. So I was saying that we should have a great time with our panelists. I like the fact that you're not agreeing on the same things. While Morin is talking about leadership, Muyiwa Kayode is talking about branding. And so you're looking at moving Nigeria forward up to the elections from two different lenses, which is stimulating for this conversation. Right, let's just quickly go to the comments and see what our co-parliaments today have been writing and what they would like our panelists to truly address. Let's see where the comments are. A minute, please. Right. Nigerians can only be doomed if we hold no one accountable. Someone has written that. A solution-driven.
We do have some way back, actually very good comments, way back. If you scroll further.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to go to the very beginning. A comment from way back after the hello.
There's one that says, what's our role as citizens? Surely we can't remain passive and wait for something to happen to us, to be done to us.
Yes, I've seen that's Wale Croft asking what's our role as citizens. Surely we can't remain passive and wait for something to happen to us or be done to us. We need to engage meaningfully, but how do we do that? And I know that, Morin, you've been talking about our politicians, our leaders not engaging with us properly. So I'm going to pass this question to Muyiwa Kayode. Let's hear from you. What's your response to Wale Croft's question? And I see your hand, Lee Olawale. I'm coming to you shortly.
Sorry,
yes.
About what's our role as citizens?
What's our role as citizens? Surely we
I think the first most important role for us as citizens is to be law-abiding.
Right.
And then and beyond that, we have a responsibility in the different aspects of our national life. We have a responsibility to come up with solutions more than we talk about the problems, because one person cannot solve the problem. We need to, in our own little way, play our own little role. And I will give you I'll give you an example. So, okay, if we need to
I hope you're not.
I'm saying that we need to make our products competitive in the global market.
Right.
Excuse me?
We're with you.
You're breaking, that's why.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Okay. I said the first role for us as citizens is to be law-abiding. I see a lot of Nigerians, they don't obey the law. They don't even stop at the red light. They don't obey traffic lights, but they shout the loudest about how Nigeria is not working. It doesn't make sense. Even in WhatsApp groups, you see people, they cannot even abide by the simple rules of WhatsApp groups. That's why, for me, I promptly exit from a lot of WhatsApp groups because it's just simply annoying. Even where I live, the estate where I live, you see people driving against traffic. And in the WhatsApp group, they are crying about how the country is not working. But when you go abroad, you obey the law. It doesn't make sense. We have responsibilities. Every one of us has a responsibility to make Nigeria work. Simple things are just be orderly, just be law abiding. That shouldn't be too much to ask. And then when something happens, I mean, we all know about the popular case of somebody that was flouting traffic rule, and the next thing is telling that he was going to call the governor. You don't do that. Nobody does that.
Okay, let's leave it at that.
We need to be law abiding first and foremost. We need to be law abiding. We are talking about our responsibilities now as citizens.
You know what, Muyiwa Kayode, I'm very certain that we have a lot of Nigerians who are law-abiding, but being law-abiding doesn't seem to have helped a lot of people here because people get away with blue murder in Nigeria, and it's not been encouraging for a multitude of people who've been law-abiding. But I think that's another conversation entirely. Let's not get derailed from the focus of our theme today. Let me take a quick, this is Wale Croft again. We need to articulate and reinforce our values. What's the character of this nation? It's not about money. Money takes on the character of its own. I think she was responding to your statement earlier, Muyiwa Kayode. If the judiciary system, this is Bimbola Eku, functions properly and we can serve justice, then the branding of Nigeria as a land of opportunity will sit well. If only the corrupt can do business and succeed, then we can continue as we are. Nigeria should be rebranded as a nation where there is justice. I can tell 2 branding attempts by Nigeria in the past, but here we are today. Kayode Jakinsho says, fish stinks from the head. I support Morin. When we have the right leader, things will move in the right direction. We now have the opportunity to choose a good leader. Do we? Are we going to choose this new leader and good leader? Here we are. I hope so. But there are checks and balances in those nations. Justice exists for all. No one is above the law in those countries. Please, we cannot underestimate corruption in Nigeria. People that take advantage of the corruption that benefits few. That's in Kecheke. Abimbola again talks about the arms of governments that we have, how they get there. The presidency we choose during election, the Senate we choose, the House of Reps we choose. The legal system, government does the choosing. Choose those who may serve their purpose. So for our leadership to be right, we need right people in the 4 arms of government. So Abimbola is drawing attention to the fact that we don't get to choose the judiciary, and they sometimes sabotage the efforts of all, especially the efforts of the people, by their ruling. And that's important for me as we go on with the conversation today. Yemi says leadership is the key. We need new breed of leaders, transformational leaders, up towards educational reform for citizens. And now Yemi is hitting the nail on the head about Nigeria moving forward after the election. We need transformational leaders. We need educational reform. And I'm coming back to you, panelists, for what 2 things we need to do to move forward as a nation post-election. Policemen stopped our first People's Parliament in Lagos. That's why we moved it to Zoom. There are issues with freedom of speech, although it may be better than under military rule. Are Nigerians doomed after this election? That's Rescue Nigeria asking a question there. How can there be voting with an electronic system? That's Wale Croft. I wondered why BVAS failed somehow in Osun State myself. I think they use manual accreditation. That means those with false cards voted. This is what we need to grill INEC on. So post-elections, we should be looking at how that pans out. Nigerians can only be doomed if we hold no one accountable, including ourselves. That's Wale Croft again. Adeyemi Akeju says the solution-driven approach should look at the cup half full rather than half empty. There is no such thing as simplistic answer per se. If you're reading with me, I'm reading comments from the chat section, and I'm moving on to Nkechi now, who says, if the leadership are lawbreakers, how do you expect the people that are looking up to their leaders to abide by the laws? And on that note, Nkechi, I'm going to say that really we do not have leaders from space. Leaders come from the followers, and Morin will agree with me that leaders are picked from the followers. So really, it's a case of a reflection of ourselves in the mirror with the kind of leaders that we vote for. But let me take Lee Olawale. You've raised your hands for quite a while. You can please unmute Lee Olawale so that you can ask a question. Please let your question be brief so that we can move on quite quickly. Lee Olawale, are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
I'm
Good morning.
muting.
Thank you for organizing this. Really, instead of a question, I just want to add a commentary and to these issues. And I basically, I'm here in the United States. I've been here for about 40 years. I'm also very current with things that is going on in Nigeria. So I'm very, very much aware of how democracy works in the United States. Okay, because I've had so many projects that are affected by the people here in Houston, actually. So I'm very much in line with Mr. Muyiwa, because sometimes when we have these big problems, right, the problem is so huge that it is almost impossible to say, wow, we're going to elect this righteous guy. Okay, because there's diverse opinions, a lot of tribalistic tendencies and all those things. So how do you overcome a giant? You eat him, piece by piece. In my field, how do you build an enormous structure? It's one brick at a time. So the government that we have, it's almost like them versus us. Right? So in my opinion, in order for the government to be effective in Nigeria, the people, which is why I'm in line with what Mr. Muyiwa was talking about, but we have to now be organized. They are organized, but we are not organized. That's why they take advantage of us, and that will continue for a long time. A case in point, about 15, 20 years ago, right here in Houston, there was supposed to be a rail line, okay, a rail line that it was going to go through a certain neighborhood. Well, it's only a group of citizens, that people donated money for. It's like an NGO. And they went to the city hall and they campaigned about, they said, well, this thing is too expensive. We don't want this. We don't want that. Now, it is the people organizing against the government. That's what got that done. It was not just the mayor that says, oh, you know what, I'm going to be nice. All of the problems are too numerous for one leader to just do a magic wand and all these issues are going to take. It is us. So how can a group like this, to not go too long, how can a group like this be effective? Well, because the problems are so numerous, this group must pick one or two or three areas where they actually organize, okay, and then be the check and balance against the government. Look at this. Look at the rail system in Lagos State government, right? The Lagos State government, no citizen actually is familiar with how much this costs, right? The government, that is them. They're not going to volunteer this information. We have to get it, and you can't get that information unless you're organized. If you go as a single person, it's one vote. But let's say the student union is another example. That's called the teachers union. Let's say the teachers union say, hey, Mr. So we're going to vote for you if you promise to give us 3 brand new schools. When that politician sees that, wow, this is a formidable group, formidable team, then he will put those things in place. But in Nigeria, it's like we just looking up to these leaders. Thank you. It's like we're just looking for all these leaders to do all these things for us.
That should be okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. You've given 2 great examples. That's just fine for us. We need to organize as a people. But I must let you know that we tried, as our youth tried to organize with the SARS, hashtag SARS, but it went south at the end of the day. But it still has to be taken as a very great effort to organize and say no to police brutality. So yes, we will keep improving as citizens. Segun Ologunleko says 2 dominant political parties have captured and seized control of the destiny and fortune of the nation by recycling incompetence, not throwing up our very best for the job. How can the people sanitize the political space to get rid of barren? Let me help you emphasize that barren political parties and all their structures in the country down. And Ayodeji Akinshaw says nepotism and religion are our major undoing. So I come back to the panelists now. You heard a lot from our co-parliamentarians this evening, and they're still writing more. So your quick reactions to the comments now, and to Olawale. Morin, let's start with you. I can see your face.
Thank you very much. I do agree with what Lee Olawale has said. And it wasn't that I was not, in tune with what my co-panelist was saying. It's just that we're looking at the same thing from maybe two different angles. I believe in people power. And that's one of the things that I love about the UK that I am in. It really boils down to personal responsibility. I remember when, after a long time, and I went to Nigeria, that was one of the things that I said to my aunt. I said, you know what? If every one of us gets up and we take ownership and we take responsibility, and somebody asked me for bribe and I say no, and I'm able to stand my ground, maybe we're going to be able to perpetuate, good behavior, in our system. And so definitely, as individuals, we need to take ownership. We need to take responsibility. In fact, the article that I think has actually given me this platform was really about me saying to people that it's high time we all stood up and we take personal responsibility. And I said, it's not a revolution that we need, it's a resolution. When every one of us stand up and we are resolute in our determination to see a better Nigeria, I believe that things will change a lot. So from all the things that people have been saying, we've been talking about backing up the judiciary. There is no way a nation can exist without law and order. And definitely when the law passes judgment, it will not favor everybody. And
Right.
like my co-panelist said, these are teething problems. We're just how many years old now in practicing democracy? We have to give it a chance. And so it just means that some people are going to be encouraged, some people are going to be discouraged. That's the way the law is. It doesn't favor everybody. So these are the things that we need to really think about. But I think personal ownership needs to come in. We all need to be resolute to make Nigeria great. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. Let me come to you, Muyiwa Kayode. Your responses to some of the comments we've read so far.
Yeah, thank you. We love to enjoy the fruits of democracy. But we also need to understand that there are responsibilities we have as citizens. As Morin said, we need to take ownership. We need to understand that our democratic rights stop where the next person's rights begin. And in exercising our rights, we have to also respect other people's rights. It is called equal rights. That's what it's called, But we have a democratic culture in which a lot of our people do not recognize the rights of others. We think that the right is only for us. It is equal rights for everybody. Everybody is equal before the law. So that is one. The second and last thing I'd like to say is, from the citizen point of view, if you want a Nigeria that works, play your part. It's a collective responsibility. It's not just for government alone.
If you want a country Nigeria that works, play your part. Do your own little bit. Right. Those little things here and there works, play your part. I'm going to give you time to give your closing remarks, Muyiwa Kayode. Sorry, I had to butt in there, but really, we need to begin to wrap up. But before we go, let me quickly take Segun Ologun. Okay, I can't see the rest of the surname there. But you're going to make it really quick. Straight to your comments, straight to your question, and then we come back to the panelists and we'll wrap up for today. Right, so can you please unmute Segun, please?
Yeah, thank you.
Right.
Thanks very much. I'm glad to be here, and I've been listening to the panelists, the speakers, to Muyiwa and to Morin, and I must say that they've dealt with the issues very, very well. They've thrown up a lot of issues in their situations in the very pragmatic. And I want to commend the nice. This is good. We're talking, and it's good and engaged. I hope some concrete actions will come out from this engagement. That's at the end of the day, in a democracy, and it's about people. I've heard that emphasized by Muyiwa, Morin, and all. The core of their deliveries of the people. How, what can the people do? And how can do anything?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question properly.
What can the people do and how can what?
Now, these are the questions we need to start. Because in a democracy, like Muyiwa said, take ownership. How can the people take ownership? Of what? How? Do they have the resources to take ownership? They don't even own the political parties. They weren't there when it was formed. And you see, the political parties have already, we have two dominant political parties. And that's no problem. Because, you can have dominant co-parties. But when you have a dominant political parties throwing up, the wrong, not the competent person for the job. And dominant political parties who have taken control of all the system of rule and law, of power, of authority, of changing the rule, changing the laws. They own the assembly, they own the National Assembly, they own this, and so forth. So what can the people do? So when you say citizens do this, the people should do that, the people are helpless. The people don't even know how to gather. So advocacy.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So it gets back to probably we have 1,000 NG. All right.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Shegologoleko. You've made your points. People should take ownership. Ownership of what? We should let the people organize. How will they organize? Because the two major political parties have arrested the development, to use that phrase. They've taken everything about the system. So the system is captive. That's what Shegologoleko is saying. Is it true? And if that is true, how do we move forward post-elections? That's the question we posed at the beginning of the parliament today. And two things that we can do as a people as we wrap up, finally, our panelists, two things that citizens can do post-election to move Nigeria forward and to let that structure of a giant begin to stabilize. I'll come to you, Muyiwa Kayode, as we wrap up finally.
Okay, thank you. Segun made some food for thought comments there. The two dominant political parties did not fall from the sky. People formed them, and people built them, and people joined these parties, and people take part in those party activities. So we cannot sit down in the comfort of our bedroom and say, they formed the parties, they hijacked everything. No, it doesn't work like that. We have to participate. And you see, another thing I always like to let people understand is that you don't have to be in government to make a positive difference in your country. Some of the best things that have happened in some countries were not done by the government. You don't have to be in government. You can, in your own way, as a group, as an individual, as an institution, as a business person, as an entrepreneur, you can make a difference. You can build something that makes your country look better to the rest of the world. Some of the greatest iconic monuments in some countries today were not built by the Eiffel Tower in France was not built by the French government. The Statue of Liberty in New York was not built by the government of the United States. People can make a difference. We can't all be in politics. We can't all be in government. That's why I said, if you want a better country, play your role. In your own little way, with your God-given talent, you can make a difference in your community. This is how we build. It's not all of us
Right.
waiting for one person in Aso Villa to do the magic. It doesn't work that way.
Okay. Thank you very much, Muyiwa Kayode, one of our esteemed panelists today, saying that we must own our own part of the deal. It's not about the leaders all the time. We also have our own responsibilities as well. I'd like to acknowledge what Nkicheke is writing over there, her comment. She said we also need to acknowledge how the ruling party has systematically undermined the strength of the people by impoverishing them, starvation and denial of quality of education, which we have spoken to in the course of the parliament today. Let me come to you, our esteemed panelists, Morin, Carew. Wrapping up now, what are the two things that we need to do to move Nigeria forward post-elections?
Thank you very much. As we were just talking, the first thing that came to my mind was, how did apartheid stop? How did we stop apartheid? How did apartheid stop in South Africa? One man stood up to say, you know what, I'm going to galvanize. Pardon me?
Muyiwa is saying it has not stopped. Apartheid is still going on.
Just like we said, corruption is still going on in many countries and they're managing it. But my point is, so shall we say, how did the power come back to the Black people in South Africa? At least we've had how many presidents now or prime ministers in South Africa, which was not the story before. I'm saying this because I want to make a point. It can start with just one person. Nelson Mandela paid the price. Martin Luther King Jr. paid the price. It can start with an individual. That's my point. And Rescue Nigeria has just been posting in the chat, join organizations like this, join up with other organizations like this, and we can start a movement. It can start with just one person. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not an impossible task. It just depends on how much we believe in the dream. Martin Luther King says, I believe in a dream. I have a dream. And he was able to spread that dream for so many people to share in that dream, and they became a movement powerful enough to bring changes. Yes, it's not the best that's happening right now, but it has to start somewhere. And that's what we're trying to say here on this platform. If every one of us, our consciences are awakened to say we want a better Nigeria, we refuse to be bought over by politicians, and we face them, we look them in the eye, eyeball to eyeball, and we say, you know what? Enough is enough. We don't want to be bought anymore. We want a change. We want to hold you accountable. Things will change. Each and every one of us need to be resolute within ourselves that we are not going to pander to the system that is going on right now. And if every one of us make our minds up and make that decision, and we're resolute in it, we will be a powerful force to create change. That's my submission to us.
Right. Thank you very much to our panelists, leadership coach and charity consultant, Morin, Carew. Thank you very much for spending time with us at the Parliament today to talk about repositioning Nigeria. I'd like to thank the author of Brand Nation. You should be picking up that book. There's a lot in that book, I hear, and I hope I'm going to get my copy this week. A lot about brand positioning, about brand identity, about branding generally, so that we can begin to look at the branding of the nation, these giants of the nation, post-elections. Thank you very much, Muyiwa Kayode, creative entrepreneur, author of Brand Nation, co-founder of USP. Thank you for coming on to the Parliament today.
Thank you for having
I'm waiting
me.
for you to respond. Where are you?
Thank you for having me. It's been an inspiring and what can I say? It's been a good time, and hopefully people have been envisioned, people have been inspired. I know that I've been brought out of my lethargy many years ago when somebody, challenged me about it, and I wrote my article, and since then that article has been opening doors for me to talk about Nigeria. So I'm hoping that somebody will leave this place today and think about their personal responsibility as a citizen of Nigeria and how they can bring about change that they seek. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Muyiwa Kayode. Thank you so much. Your last words? You're freezing. Oh, wow. Oh, you're freezing. So I really couldn't get that. But I think you're just giving us the salute.
See, what happened was I muted and I was unable to unmute myself. So, yeah, thank you very much.
Okay.
It's been my pleasure. It's been my pleasure. I've been on this platform as a listener before. So it's good to be here to share ideas. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much. I hope you'll be back sometime again to really talk about breaking down how we can brand Nigeria and apply those principles of branding to building this giants called Nigeria. Thank you so much and well done on the book Brand Nation.
Thank you.
Yes, we are finally done with the Parliament, the first outing for the year 2023. Thank you very much to everyone who made time to come. Nkechi is saying, I'm grateful to be part of this worthy conversation. Rescue Nigeria is already organizing. If we're not taking anything away from this conversation, we must take away the fact that we need to continue to organize for Nigeria, wherever you are in your communities. We must take the power back for the citizens of this nation. We own the nation and we must fulfill our responsibilities as well. That also came out in the course of the conversation. We have our responsibilities as citizens of the nation. We must not forget that we are followers and the leaders come from us, the followers. So we must shift our mindset, as Morin Carew said earlier, as we started the conversation. There must be a mindset shift from all of us. And just as Muyiwa Kayode also reiterated, we can't even stick to the rules of a WhatsApp group. And so how do we intend to lead when we can't be good followers? So we must have a mindset shift to become good followers first in order to demand good leadership from our leaders. Thank you everyone for attending. Thank you to Rescue Nigeria for organizing. And thank you to all of us for organizing ahead, because we're gonna keep organizing as a people. My name is Funke Treasure. It's a pleasure being your moderator for this edition. Again, I'm handing you over now to Tunde, who's a member of the rescue team, Nigeria. Let's see what they have for us in 2 months' time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Funke, as always. Thank you, Morin. Thank you, Muyiwa, and everybody. We really enjoyed your joining us today. Please, when you come next, make sure you bring somebody. Bring your family, bring your friends, bring your acquaintances. This needs to grow, and we're relying on you. Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
And can I quickly say to all my friends who came as well from my invitation, thank you for honoring the invitation.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thank you.